I was really reaching. Never got picked though.
Fair enough. Are we live right now?
Yeah,
Is this
we've been
going?
live for about,
All right.
30 seconds or whatever. Welcome, guys,
That is a cold open.
to another week of the Salt Podcast. Woo! Give it up!
Yay. Claps.
So, I'm surprised we've made it this far.
Give it up for day 15.
Yes, day 15 indeed. Otherwise, I'm your host, Taryn, like always, until we get a new cast. I bring you our co-hosts, I guess, right? Is that what you guys are called? Co-hosts,
sure.
friends, douchebags, people that just show up because they have nothing better to do. Starting off with Kobe.
Hello.
Then we got Foosh.
Hello.
Then we got Adam.
Guten Abend.
Yeah, so same cast as last week, surprisingly, with all the dilemmas and clusterfuck of shit happening. So, yeah, we're here. And starting off, how was your guys' Thanksgiving? You guys start there. This is post-Thanksgiving. Anyone get the Rona?
True.
Nah, I just stayed home. I
far as I know, no.
Smart.
Not that I know of.
Not that I know.
Yeah, give us about 5 to 10 days.
All right, we'll check into episode
Oh.
6 to see if we got Rona or not. Hey, look at that.
When the salty,
Look at that foreshadowing. Shadowing.
when the
But
salty
this is
4
episode
becomes
4.
the salty 3.
This is episode 4, so then in about, 2 weeks, it'll be episode 6.
We might find out by next week.
Okay, so check.
Thanksgiving was
Okay,
like
so that's
Thursday.
what it is. So you just have to keep watching every episode to find out if
Yeah.
one of us 4 got the Rona, because it matters to you. I see you. I know you're
Next
worried about us.
podcast is 10 days, so we should know by then.
Okay. Well, you know what? Enough about the Rona. It's all just a conspiracy, right? It's not real.
I
But
blame
you know
the
what is
Koreans.
real? The SCP Foundation.
The SCP Foundation.
Yes, that shit is scary. You think Rona's scary? No. But honestly, I don't know enough about the SCP Foundation to talk about it. But you know who does? Kobe.
Well, listen. All right, I'm still entry level on my lore here. I gotta mute that. Okay, now we're good.
Do you have
Okay.
notes? Do you have like a presentation for us?
I have the first page Google search of the SCP Foundation.
It's good enough for me.
If you'd like to follow along, open up your browser and go to Google and type in SCP Foundation.
Yes,
Can I
the
do that in
SCP Foundation.
plain like I'm 5 description real quick? Just as an intro? Because I'm kind of stupid and I really don't know anything about it.
So
Yeah,
the
you
SCP.
say you're
oh,
stupid, but don't you do stuff with like machine learning?
So there's a difference between being like smart and stupid
It's
smart.
stupid.
Like shit, I can do calculus, but that doesn't make me smart. I'm still pretty much an idiot.
Yeah.
So,
Anyways,
Anyway,
SCP
the
Foundation.
SCP Foundation stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. It is a not real organization, at least that's what they want you to believe. That's what someone in the SCP Foundation would say. Essentially, the whole idea of the SCP Foundation is they search the Earth for strange anomalies, whether it be places or people, and essentially they secure and contain them in what would be kind of like an underground kind of super secret kind of base, and they protect their mantra is to essentially protect humanity from these what they call SCPs, and there are a bunch of them.
Yeah,
There are hundreds of these things.
yeah, they range from like potential people with like, let's say, like special powers or like extraterrestrial or paranormal stuff to like a bottle of pills that can cure any disease in a matter of like minutes. All right.
Yeah.
So it's not just these specific things, it's like anything.
It's anything could be an SCP.
And they'll do whatever it takes to secure, contain, and protect that.
and protect humanity
Means
from these
leveling
SCPs.
cities, committing mass murders, genocides, doesn't matter.
Yep. And there are I forget what they are, but there are 3 classes of SCPs. I remember there's Keter class, but that's the one class I remember. I believe that's the class of SCP where they will utilize that SCP to help contain other SCPs in case of containment breach. But these things are these things are very interesting. Everyone following along?
Yeah, we
home?
had a question in chat even. Some are non-corporeal though. How do they do that? I gotta Google what non-corporeal means now.
Yeah, I read that. I read that. I read that question, and honestly, I felt my brain just break a little bit trying to understand what that word was.
Non-corporeal means like they don't have a physical form.
Oh, okay. So like
ghosts or entities or things like that.
nth dimensional aliens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I guess one thing that I guess that's a good question actually. Because one SCP is oh god, was it SCP 3000 something? I think essentially they found, again, this is all not real, at least
It's
theorized
very real
to not be real.
Yeah, think of like a Men in Black situation, right? Where it's like
basically
it's this hidden organization that operates with like full like worldly control. Like all the nations have like basically said, yeah, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, the SCP Foundation has higher authority than like international governing law.
Because that has so much authority.
Yeah.
Hey. Either way, they got more than that. All right.
Sanctions.
But no, what I was going to say is that this SCP 3000 something, 3008, I think it is something like that. It's essentially they got this distress beacon that they pinpointed to a location which was a cave/cavern, and they sent drones through, and it came out the other side, and it was pretty much exactly how it looked on the entrance, but everything had like this weird grayscale to it. All the color and everything was kind of like just grayed out, and essentially it was an alternate kind of reality where death itself kind of ruled supreme, and every living thing on the planet all just died all at once. But there's also nothing is decaying. Like they sent people in there. They went to the base, and there are like people that have been dead for a long time, but they look like they died just like a minute ago.
That's weird.
They saw themselves dead, which was really bad on their psyche. And the distress signal that they got was their base in that alternate reality about the SCP that is death essentially escaped containment breach, and they somehow intercepted that. And the way that they closed that off essentially was they just like fucking put a bunch of concrete in that cave, and they were like, "All right, this is good.
Don't go in there."
We'll put some of that black and yellow tape. Don't cross, and all like good.
I'm really getting some Stranger Things vibes from this.
Kind of, yeah. Like actually, like the underground stuff in Stranger Things would kind of be, and like the Demogorgon would be definitely considered an SCP if the lore was just different.
Does this SCP Foundation thing, does that go into like normal cryptids like Bigfoot, etc., or is it just all like 4chan level?
Oh, that's all pussy shit, Adam. Come on, fucking the Squatch, man. Really? You think they got time for that myth? No, man. They're dealing with real fucking problems. All right.
You got me. I can't argue that.
Contrary to Terrence's point, Bigfoot is actually considered an SCP.
Oh shit, he's real. Oh fuck.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's the. I think that's either Tucker or Kevin. Yeah, those are the 3. Oh wait, no. There's the safe one is actually brings up a good point. The safe class is awarded to only one SCP, and I forget what its number is, but essentially it's this big. It's not really that big. It's like a 2-foot tall yellow blob.
That was a pink blob.
It's a yellow blob. Or no, it's an orange blob.
That's what it is.
And essentially anything it's around or anything it touches, it incites euphoria in them, and they just feel crazy happy. And they use this SCP for a lot of other SCPs. Like there's like this like immortal lizard that they can't kill.
So he makes you high.
Well, no, they use it to like calm them down. You
Yeah.
know, make them happy, not angry or crazy and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
point is though, this SCP shit, I haven't really looked into it, but it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a whole lot, and
There's all kinds of shit. It's interesting.
And the question rises: is what if? You know what I mean? What if this is actually true? Like, what if
What if they
there are
were out there?
like this secret organization? Like, sure, you could say there's a whole bunch of like weird secret organizations and whatnot, but like this one, like, what if? You know what I mean? It's like, think about it, like extraterrestrial stuff, well, especially lately, like with the Tic Tacs and stuff like that, opening up a whole door of just stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, the monolith in the Utah desert.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
that's a chunk of metal
Disappeared.
on the.
By the way,
Oh, it disappeared?
it disappeared, and like left there was like a pile of rocks, and like no one knows what happened to it. Now here's another thing. This week also after that one disappeared in Utah, one popped up in Romania that no one knows
Okay.
how it got there.
Okay.
I would love to speculate that, but that thing's been there for a long ass time in the Utah desert. Like it was there for like 4 or 5 years. Like,
See,
Why
that's
didn't
what-
nobody cut it open?
well,
see,
there's
what-
pictures of people
what-
with it
what I
like
read-
4 or 5 years ago, and for some reason now it's just becoming a big thing.
Well,
And it
that's
was
'cause
clearly like an art piece or something like that was put there.
Well,
How do you know?
the federal officials, whoever like the parks people or whatever, just found it like
Mhm.
recently, and that's why it's such a big deal because they were counting I don't know whatever fucking animals in a helicopter and they found it. Something, yeah,
Sheep, I think.
yeah, and
So
they
this
found
thing
it,
has
and then
been on the internet, but the government just now found it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, I don't
that
know
doesn't
if
surprise me at all.
I don't know was it government? Could have been state. I don't know. Whoever.
State government, still government.
Yeah, I was watching a thing on
Well-
it briefly. I saw the new one on a Reddit post, and I wasn't sure if that was like actually
See,
real or not like that.
I-
But I know the one in Utah it has been there. Like there's pictures with people on it and around it that like are like dated like 4 or 5 years ago. So, and the thing's not like solid. I don't think it's like sheet metal brought there that are like glued or welded together, and then it's
Yeah, I
like cut
remember-
into the ground and like placed into the ground. So I mean, more than likely, honestly, I think it's just an art piece, and probably the artist who
So
put
my
it there
question-
probably came back and grabbed it or something like that.
Like who the fuck? Because they said they weren't telling people where it was at because it was like a really dangerous spot to get to.
hmm
I mean,
People
who the fuck's
still went
gonna-
out there.
Well, that like
Well,
who
yeah.
the fuck's gonna like carry that son of a bitch? Like if it's supposedly that dangerous to get out there.
Dude, people are insane. Of course they're gonna do it.
Well, first of all, if it's an art piece, which I think it is, or was, I guess if it's gone now, they're fucking crazy. Like artists
Also, I
are
don't know
fucking
the whole
nuts,
thing
man.
with it because I seen that thing about people on Reddit say it's been there forever. I have a hard time. Like they could be like right, but it's just coming from Reddit. It's just I have a hard time believing
Hey,
it.
there's other
Reddit are
sources
super
though.
slow.
I mean,
Utah-
the only thing I've seen that said it's been there for years is whatever the fucking article that said the people on Reddit found it on fucking like Google Earth or some shit.
That's how initially, well, like when whoever the officials found it, all right, that's when Google, some guy or a couple of guys went and found it on like Google Maps or whatever that thing is, and like found it actually relatively quick. There's like a whole lengthy like him posting how he did it. It's fucking ridiculous.
Damn.
Like, oh, let me see if I can't find it.
I also pulled up the Wikipedia page on it. So it was on government land, right? So why not why didn't people just like take it and investigate it and like cut it open? I mean, they had a helicopter, so they could have sent another one in to land and poke
From
it.
my understanding, like government officials like did go to it, but
I mean, it's a weird thing. I feel like I would have put a camera up and watched it just to see if anybody came. Plus, then you can go yell at people who go to it because it's
Oh, yeah.
dangerous.
Okay, is Utah so it is state wildlife people.
I feel like the one in Romania is probably just a copycat.
You see, that's what I was thinking too.
Probably.
Is like the Romanian one. I have no idea what that
Or
is.
is it?
Is it just like did it just pop up? Like, is it like in a remote section as well, or like what's going on with that one? Because I feel like
The one in Romania, it was on like private land, but it was like on an area where people have to get permission from like archaeologists before they do anything to the land, and like
Okay,
no one got permission.
but
to
was it
put anything
guarded?
there.
yeah, I
Was it-
mean, who? That's what I always find funny. It was just like, oh, but it's private land. You couldn't get there. And it's like, what do you mean it's private? Like,
Yeah,
sure, if you get caught
you can get
being on
anywhere.
there.
Might be illegal, but that's not going to stop an asshole.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much ground that has to be covered and watched. It's like people are gonna
It
get
is
on there if
in
they
a
want
protected area on an archaeological site.
And when
Before
you say
installing
protect,
something there, they needed permission from our institution, one that must then be approved by the Ministry of Culture.
when you say protected, does that mean there are active guards watching it, or is it legally protected? So if somebody happens to catch you, you get in trouble. Because if there aren't guards, then people are just going to walk in there and stick metal in the ground.
to. Well, that I find it
That's
funny where it's just like, oh, but
Dang.
the rules say you can't do that. Well, I did it.
They doesn't really say. They probably meant protected land, like like a refuge is protected land. You can't
Mhm.
do anything with it.
Yeah.
I highly doubt the area is like guarded with fucking guards.
Yeah. See, I think that
Unless
one's
they're
a
hiding something sinister.
See, I think that one's a copycat for sure because this one, right? Let's say it's been there for 4 or 5 years, right? It's been found before, just got recently found, and it's in a remote part of the world, like in Utah, that's hard to get to. Why the fuck did this one just pop out of nowhere?
Because
like,
this
is someone
Earth's-
looking out for it, like looking for these now, or is it just someone literally just went out there and put another one up there because it's like, oh, now that people like my art.
Somebody finally interacted with it. All right, this is Earth's first Easter egg, and we're just now starting it.
Holy shit. Are we gonna unlock like some sort of like weird like alien thing? Look, what if Kobe's right here? Like, what if by interacting with this one, like we got more people to touch it, right? To go see it, communicate about it. All of a sudden just like grew another one in Romania. And now everyone has to go to Romania, touch it, spit on it, lick on it, whatever. Get the furry community to make another like 3D scaling for it, so
Shave
you can
off
go
the
into VR
grumbo.
chat. And then all of a sudden another one pops up.
In like, I don't know, Japan,
Nah, I wouldn't be Japan.
Antarctica,
Okay, first of all, the first one was in Utah. Who goes to fucking Utah?
Mormons.
Second of all,
Well,
Romania.
they don't go there; they already live there.
That's true.
Romania's a place. It's
Yeah, but when's the last time someone was like, "Oh man, did you hear about Romania? Did you go to Romania recently?" No one.
When it comes to monoliths, you're gonna hear about it.
Well, yeah, because now that's there. So it has to be a part of the world that no one really gives a shit about.
so it's going to be in a lot of Slavic nations, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Sorry, Eastern Europe.
Apparently, there was one that popped up by Seattle about 20 years ago that no one knows how it got there.
I just feel like it's just weird artists. I feel like they just had a bunch of metal and made this thing. And like, what do we do with it?
They do say there is a art
What?
lived nearby in New Mexico that died in 2011. And like a lot of his artwork was very similar to the monolith. But it says he died in 2011, and then this says that they think it's been there since 15 or 16.
I mean,
Unless
Whoa.
he made it and someone else
Interesting.
placed it there.
Whoa, or maybe someone
They-
else just made it and it looks similar to what he
Aliens.
made.
No, I'm just saying.
Or
that
maybe it's
they're trying to
aliens.
say they think he was it's some of his artwork, but they don't
Or
know.
it's another SCP.
I was just gonna say that. Like, what if
That's
this
rough.
is? What if like since all this
Finally brought
SCP
this around.
since this all this SPC SCP shit's going around, right? It's getting more popular. People are opening their fucking eyes, huh? They're looking.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to their surroundings.
Maybe it's the lizard people.
What if all these monoliths have just been here for like hundreds and hundreds of years, and we're just
Well,
not
they
finding
could
them?
test that though with the metal. Carbon
Probably.
dating, that's a thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how that works, but yeah, probably. That's what I said. I feel like they should have went to the one in Utah and poked and prodded it.
I mean, you'd have to believe that they did that, or I feel like they would have. But also,
man.
like with how shiny it was, I mean, there's no way it's been there for like
Yeah, it had to have been
more than like
new.
20 years, if that. Even if it was more than like, I don't know.
Even if it's been there since 15 or 16, it wouldn't have been probably that shiny. There'd have been at least some like rust starting.
Well, fuck. I mean, Utah's a desert though, right? So like, I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be hard if I doubt rust would be on there. Maybe like just like a little. That's the whole reason why you
Desert
get like
with
that's why you get a whole bunch of people
sand
in
and
California
shit
with like
going
car
around.
collections and stuff like that, is because there's a lot less moisture there, so things don't rust.
I might get like wind erosion though. It's pretty windy out
Well,
in
that's the
Utah.
thing. Erosion would be the biggest thing. You know, it
Yeah,
wouldn't be
the-
that
the-
polished.
Dirt and sand shit fucking hitting it. You just sandblast the fucking thing if it's been there for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely wouldn't be that shiny.
Look, the skeptic in me wants to believe it's aliens or some weird phenomenon, right? Something that isn't human, or if it is human, it's like primal or something like that, right? Or like advanced.
Maybe.
But the realism in me here, the person talking, it's an art piece. It has to be. There's no reason why.
But what if? Huh?
But what if
Know what I'm
what?
saying?
I mean,
Maybe we're on the verge of the next evolutionary advancement. Like this is exactly how it was depicted in 2001: A Space Odyssey. All right, there's this monolith in a fucking desert. All these primates come around. They're like, "Oh, what is this? The Xbox Series X? What the fuck?" and then we're basically just advanced primates. Every time they find this thing, there's a next evolutionary jump, and
Okay.
that's literally the plot of the movie.
So what does this
Spoiler
cube mean though? Like, or this stone, this monolith? Like, what does it mean if it is the stepping stone to get us into the future? And what does this do for us?
And why is it made out of sheet metal?
That's
If it
another
is?
thing.
I don't know, man. It could be a lot of things.
No, it's made out of sheet metal though.
I think so.
I mean,
I mean,
people
it-
want to interact.
It looks like it is, but
I mean,
then
look,
again,
if someone actually brought it out there, they're
don't
not bringing out a solid
Hate
piece
it.
of metal through that place. Like, realistically, if it is sheet metal, it makes the most sense because it's lighter and you can easily transport it and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but like, what does it mean? Let's just play speculation here, okay? Stepping stone. What does this mean? What does this do for society, for the human race?
I wish there was like video of it when it was like really windy so you could see, because if it was sheet metal, that bitch would be bending and twisting and shit in the wind.
Well, it could be filled though too.
If it was filled, they were filled with what?
Anything, fucking cement, fucking dirt, like you
Water.
fucking name it. Maybe not water, but
I mean, even if it's filled with something like dirt and stuff where it's sheet metal, well, I guess if you filled it all the way up, but
Yeah.
then you'd to reach the top, it stands 12 foot high. You're gonna have to haul that. You're gonna have to haul all sorts of shit out there with you.
What if they assembled it there?
yeah, that's what I'm saying is they more than likely assembled it there. But look,
Okay.
we're evading the question that
But
I've asked
what is-
though.
What they do?
What
Pop
is-
rivet
what-
it together out there? Like
I don't fucking know,
You
fool.
haul a welder with you down there?
Get
Like,
on the
come
VR
on now.
chat. The
Maybe.
furries made a great 3D replica of that area, like to scale. That is fact, by the way.
Did you try it?
Really?
Did you play it?
I don't have VR chat, but I saw people doing it.
Oh.
Point is, what does this mean though? Like, if this is the stepping stone, what does this mean? Like, what are we gonna get from this?
It was not magnetic, so what kind of metal is not magnetic?
A lot of metals.
Okay, thanks. That helped.
Well, it's true though. Like, I don't know. I'm not a metal fucking expert. Like, I don't know. I just know there's a lot of metals that aren't magnetic.
I mean, I can't contest that. If I had read the next phrase, it says appeared to be made out of 1/8 inch stainless steel or aluminum sheets joined with rivets with a hollow interior. So that answers
I
that.
was just reading rivets and screws.
Well,
Yes, can confirm rivets and screws.
maybe we should read before speaking, but oh well.
That would be no fun, though. That would be no fun.
So anyway, philosophical meaning in aliens. That's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily aliens, but I'd say like
If it was
future
aliens,
advancement.
let's be real, they're going to be more sophisticated than rivets and screws.
That is true.
All right. Yeah, probably true.
They've probably got like plasma welders or some shit.
Well,
Right.
hold on, but not necessarily though, right? Because like that could just be like the apex of technology. What if we're already at the apex of technology?
We could be.
Well, then we fucking suck.
Or the universe fucking sucks.
I was
Or
gonna say
that.
the universe probably sucks more so.
There's no way. We're not at the top. There's no way.
Realistically, I don't think we are, but I think we're like, I mean, how much more can we advance though?
The thing is, you never know until you figure something out.
True. I mean,
Yeah,
with,
exactly.
and with the scope or the the graph of technology advancements. I mean, think about where we were just in 1900s. You know what I mean? Like 100 years ago, and we're at this point now. You know, it's fucking crazy.
Actually, so here's a fun thought experiment. Imagine you are imagine you're a man in the year 1900. Imagine what the world looks like. Maybe you got like primitive cars. They're loud and bumpy and don't really work. You'd probably prefer a horse. People still walk on the streets. Planes aren't a thing yet. If you say people will fly in the future, they'll probably kill you for being crazy or a witch. Who knows? Then imagine yourself in 1950 as the same person. Imagine the culture shock and the technology shock you would see in that difference. But now imagine you're a person in the 50s and then you're a person now. It's basically the same with like a different texture pack, right? Except for like
different texture pack.
We got RTX now.
Yeah,
we got ray tracing.
Things look better, but I mean, advancement-wise, I feel like we've advanced less in this last 70 years than we did in the 50 years prior.
See, that's what I was gonna say too. Was like I feel like we're more improving on the things that we already have. Like I feel like there's not a whole lot of like advancements per se, where it's just like, oh, this changes the wheel. You know what I mean? I feel like we're just improving on the wheel.
I think maybe that's because this next advancement, whatever it may be, technology or whatever, it's something that maybe we just don't understand yet. That we can't perceive it yet.
It's already out there. The government's just hiding it from.
Yeah,
I had a lot of faith in our government.
I mean, shit. If we're going that way, like the government also just like said aliens were a thing too.
I mean, yeah, they did, and no one cared.
And no one cared.
Did not technically say that.
They said it.
All right.
They said it without saying it.
They said there are things that they couldn't explain.
Yeah. No, getting back to the technology though, like, I mean, how much more can we improve outside of like I guess the biggest thing, I guess, like I feel like scientific like leaps or like technology leaps is making really small stuff.
I actually think the next big leap, like for society and humans in general, will be when we do get a successful brain-computer interface. Like you can literally interact with all computational technology just with your brain. That's probably the next big step for us. Like we would literally be able to interact with, basically. You could literally interact with like AI with our brains. You could just download information or upload information.
Hey, that's a perfect segue into one of my topics I had. Where the fuck is it now?
Isn't Elon Musk have a company working on that right now?
There's a couple companies.
Isn't it called Neuralink?
Probably. I don't know. I know Elon's working on something like that. And I saw
Neuralink, yep.
Yeah. It gave me the heebie-jeebies because they stick a lot of tiny needles in your brain. But
fuck that.
process.
I heard from, I don't remember where. I heard from somewhere else they are also, like, I don't know if this is Elon's team or another team, but they're looking for a less invasive way to do it. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing it means less invasive to your brain.
I think it's the same people. Because I was
Mm.
watching a thing on it a while back.
See, I mean, I
That'd
think
be wild, though.
I think the less evasive thing would just be not necessarily opening up the human skull to put something in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Or if you do, it's very limited to where like you're not, hooking your brain up to jumper cables or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's probably
Yeah, I
like
don't
an
know how
external
that would
device that like fucks with your like, brain electronics, so to speak, with electricity running through there and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would probably be the non-invasive way. I just don't know how any of that works though, so I don't know if that's actually feasible.
it's new technology, right? It's like a new it's a new thought, it's a new idea that they're trying to do stuff with. But like I don't know, have they like proven anything yet with it?
No, it's still base. I don't think
All
anybody.
hypothetical.
I think they might be testing on animals. I don't know. Testing something. I really don't know. I just know that it's a goal, and I think that's probably going to be our next big step once we can interface with computers like that. It'll just take away so many barriers for how we learn and how we interact with the world. But yeah, it'll open up a lot of problems.
Big moral question here. What does that mean for like so we do that, right? Where we can like upload, download information at will, right? Are we human at that point?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Are we just the next step in humans? Like, what are we then? Are we just a computer or something?
That's another one of my topics.
I just had a connection here. He's got Neuralink. They're working on was it Starlink?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Fucking, you're just gonna be able to think and just talk to someone in your head from like across the world.
yeah.
see
No,
it.
that's a thing that people have talked about. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could essentially become a hive mind. It opens up this whole bag of problems. Like
It does.
Oh god, imagine like just hear voices from like everyone just in your head all the time. Oh my
Well,
god.
I'm sure there would be a filter.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying, but just imagine that. I'd fucking probably shoot myself.
Well, we'll get a close look at it to a certain degree because Tesla, they're adding in that basically that voice chat in the cars now that you can communicate with other Tesla drivers. Like, how the fuck is that shit gonna work? I'm just gonna drop into a server and be like, "Oh, hey, I'm on Highway 97. How's it going, everybody?" And he's like, "Oh, it's going pretty good."
Is it like
this pig pen?
is it like a local network thing so you can only communicate to other Teslas?
I don't know exactly. I know my wife sent me a picture of it. I haven't really looked at a whole lot. I was hoping maybe one of you have seen it. But I just kind of took it from face value just to see. I think it's going to be like a Bluetooth type deal.
Interesting.
Tesla chat.
What was that meme you sent? Proximity chat for cars or whatever the fuck it was?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, imagine.
Oh yeah. Can't wait to be just cruising along and then accidentally cut somebody off and hear them insult my mother directly to me. But to be fair, if I was the asshole, I was the asshole.
Tesla's gonna be sounding like a Call of Duty chat room.
Yeah.
Yep.
Accurate.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. Like that stuff kind of intrigues me, but also ultimately terrifies me at the same time. Like I think that's the idea of that scares me more than like a robot. You know what I mean? Like I'd be much more fine with robots, self-conscious thinking robots, than me plugging shit into my brain and being able to do that kind of stuff, because I'd be afraid of what people could do with that technology against me. You know what I mean?
Just think about it. The with the Neuralink thing, and then before soon the robots. We're gonna be the robots to take ourselves over.
True. What if I told you we could hack your brain right now, Taryn?
I think
we three can't because we're dumb.
I think I know what you're talking about too, to a certain degree.
Good specification there.
I don't have any knowledge of real psychology. So I certainly could.
I
But
just
yeah,
see Foosh coming into my room like, you ready to get hacked?
Oh God! Pulls out a big old USB.
No, but go into that more.
Well, basically, our brains can't process all the information that we take in. It's just not physically possible. So they take shortcuts all the time. These are called cognitive biases, and people who understand them can use them to exploit your thought patterns. It's like there's this whole section of like psychology called social engineering, which is basically tricking people into thinking what you want them to think. Well, one thing is like penetration testers use this to like get access to computer systems that they're not supposed to have. So they'll like dress up as like a janitor or something and confidently walk past people in a building that they don't work at. People will assume that they work there because they do it confidently. Our brains just kind of ignore that. We get suspicious if we see people sneaking around, so just don't sneak. And a lot of people won't bat an eye. Simple stuff like that. And there's a lot more complex stuff. I've never actually looked into it, but it's a thing that people can do.
Yeah,
it's kind of like hypnotism, but not real hypnotism.
Different, okay? Because you know that a person's doing that. Now, if you know a cyborg's doing that, or doing it out of like, I'm sitting in my room, right? I was playing some games, and all of a sudden, hacks into my brain. I don't want that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be a very different experience from social engineering.
Exactly.
The point is, you're not safe as is. And there would be probably protections in a neural link eventually. Like, I'm not gonna grab the first version beta test that crap. No way.
I got McAfee for my brain.
Exactly.
Oh, you guys got that latest Windows Defender update?
My porn gave me a virus.
My porn gave me Ebola.
Oh my god. We're sitting here worried about COVID. Pff, shit. Wait until we get Neuralink bugs. Oh god.
My porn gave me dementia. Oh boy.
Okay, so here's a question. So let's say Neuralink happens, right? Obviously, not everyone's gonna be on it. So do you think there's gonna be like this weird like faction system that happens in the world where you have people who are like cyborgs and then people who are just dumb humans?
Yes. And I do think that will happen and it'll get ugly. But we know who's gonna win that, and it's not the dumb humans. They're just gonna be outmatched at that point.
But see, movies tell us that the dumb humans would probably win.
Movies aren't real. History tells a very different story than movies do.
Oh, but what about like? I feel like people are gonna follow movies though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially like futuristic movies. Like,
that's probably gonna make it worse.
You can't say that we're not gonna be like that because that's what's driving us forward. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like we are gonna like try to build society around the movies that were made.
That's why Elon built Cybertruck.
Can't wait to wake up in the middle of the night to my toaster trying to strangle me.
No, I don't think movies are going to have that much of an impact on us. Otherwise, our society now would look so different than how it actually does. Like, if you look at movies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s about the future, we don't look a thing like what those look like.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's different though. Because
how's that? How?
Well, okay. Okay. I'm shooting myself in the foot. I agree. Okay, but I'm just gonna keep pushing through here. Because, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking, like, more, like, advanced movies. You know what I mean? Those ones were stupid. Because, like, they were on the cusp. They were, like, the cusp of, like, getting new shit. They're like, oh, man, fucking hoverboards. Like, oh, fucking space. And they're, like, making the dumbest looking space shit. You know what I mean? But now we're, like, we're making cool shit. We're making cool, graphically cool movies. Right? We're going to try to emulate that stuff.
How does the graphics make it any different?
I mean, how do racing stripes on a car make it go faster?
He's got you there.
Okay, he's got me up.
But like, I don't know. I'm probably not doing a good job of it, like arguing my point. But I don't know. I feel like we're looking at that stuff and modeling it after that because, I mean, what else do we have to go off of other than, you know, science and math and shit
what
like
you're
that?
saying is back then the things like the futuristic movies looked like shit. So the thing we model after that, it looked like shit. And nowadays, if things in futuristic movies look like cool and badass, so we'd model it after that, and it looked cool and badass.
When people in the 80s saw the 80s movies, they're like, "Ah, that looks so cool! I can't wait for the future." to
I
look like
know.
that."
I'm trying to.
They got excited
reiterate
when
what
they
he's trying to say.
saw like a little bit of fucking like calf leg, okay, or like calf muscle. All right, they were easily pleased back then. Okay, our standards
Holy
are much
fuck, look
higher.
at that shoulder.
Are we talking about 1970 or 1870? Because like I think we're talking about two very different
What are you
70s.
talking about, man?
Wait, we're
very-
not talking
those are
about
very-
1770.
Well, okay, well the 70s, I would argue there's more skin being shown in the 70s. All right, I think that's
Maybe
like when
I guess,
skin
or-
was starting to be more of an approved thing. But like I don't know, like my point just stands is like they had low standards back then. Okay, our standards have gotten much higher. Okay,
But like in the future, when things look very different from our movies now, they're gonna be like, "Look at those 2020 punks and their shit movies." God,
Yeah.
all they did is
Yeah.
remake movies from the 80s and make them worse.
Yeah. That's basically what we do.
how do you feel about that? By the way,
It's annoying. I wish
They
people
should
would-
not remake old movies, man.
why?
I mean, 'cause they
Yeah,
usually are shit. The remakes are shit.
they
not
make
all the
them-
time.
Not all the time, but most of the time.
I can't think of a good example of one that was better than the original, though.
I can't think of one, to be honest.
Oh man, I know of one, but I literally can't think. But partially because I don't really care.
I feel like it's almost justified to remake a good movie if you can keep the story good and use modern technology to just improve the visuals and stuff. You can recast and whatever to remake it, but that I just feel like they change. They just do the same thing with still shit visuals. Like I don't know. Like it's obviously better visuals than it was, but it just doesn't wow me like you would expect. I'm a narrative guy, so I would rather people write new, unique stories rather than just reusing the same stories from what is it now 50 years ago.
Yeah, no.
To be honest, sometimes like the story of like those older movies, like the shit graphics just works, and like when they remake it with
Yeah.
like newer graphics, it's just like it just doesn't feel right.
Well,
It's like when they redid Star Wars.
I mean,
Return
So
of the
the problem
Jedi
with that-
with young Anakin. Come on.
the problem with that is it wasn't called a remake. They were pretending they were making a new story, and then they just didn't.
well, they're making like sequels. Who is like if you can call them that? Like you know what I mean? Like Star Wars is like in its own category. But before we dive into that, I would like to dive into that at some point. But like a good example is like Power Rangers, right? It's like that the latest Power Rangers movie that they made. It almost they put too much graphics in it. You know what I mean? Like it was so over the top, so crazy that I feel like it suffered so much more than what it gained. And I feel like that's the problem with remakes because I think remaking a movie could be good. But the problem is I feel like a lot of people get it in their hands and they're like, "Oh, well we could put this in there and we put that in there." And it just loses what that movie was actually meant to be back in the day, which is an art piece. And I feel like if you're trying to redo art, it's just never going to be good.
Yeah, I have not
Mhm.
seen the new Power Rangers. The only
It's
ones that
shit. Don't watch it.
are the Disney remakes. I wasn't planning on watching it. Don't worry. But yeah, like
Oh.
the live action Disney remakes that are happening now. It's the exact same story as far as I can tell. I've only watched one of them, to be fair. So I might be talking out my ass. But based off of public consensus on Reddit, which is my sole source of information, it's basically just the same story in weird CGI.
No, it is. I mean, you're right. Like Aladdin, for example, that would probably be like the best one to rate the live action. It's like, yeah, the story's there. The story's pretty much but the same. But honestly, I hate it. I don't like it because of the people. Like maybe it would be different, like if they had like actual people, like live actors in the original one. But the original one was a cartoon. And the cartoon is why you like that. Is the art style, is the flow, everything. And it was able to do things that you couldn't see in live action. Now with CGI, you could argue, well, now you can see that stuff with live people. But honestly, the live actors ruin it. People ruin it.
Yeah, no, CGI just doesn't have the same appeal as traditional art, in my opinion. At least, I mean, in some senses, it definitely could. I'm sure there's good CGI artists out there that make really cool things, but remaking a nice, I don't know if it's hand drawn, but a nice quote unquote hand drawn animated movie.
Yeah, they
with
were all
CGI,
hand drawn back then.
this doesn't really add any appeal to me.
Do you think it's because it's CGI? They always try to make it real. Like I feel like every CGI thing you see, it's like they try to make it look as real as possible or close to real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have like a cartoon look to it. So like you're looking at it and you immediately judge it based off like, okay, well that thing doesn't look real or not. You're not looking at it as a standpoint of like a piece of art. Like if you look at a cartoon, you automatically know, oh, that's fake. Let me just enjoy it for what it is. Whereas CGI, it's just like, oh man, if it doesn't got those sun rays, those god rays, those lens flares, fuck that shit. That's not a good surface. That surface looks like shit. You automatically just pick out the worst in it instead of actually doing it, I feel like.
Do you think sometimes they try too hard to make CGI look realistic?
Yes.
I'm sure.
Well, I don't know if it's like
Pretty much the state
realistic.
of CGI.
I don't know if it's realistic, but like modern CGI, like definitely movies that I feel like you can overuse CGI, and I think that's the issue. Because then like for example, let's say like the Marvels movie, the Avengers movie, where like the Endgame, where they had those suits, they had like practical suits, but then they just decided to, oh fuck it, we'll just make them digital suits. Now, granted, in that case, they looked like real suits. You couldn't tell the difference between them. But like, why? You know what I mean? They're just like they pick certain things to like overuse CGI for, and I just don't understand it.
I wonder how much of it is just cost, but I feel like CGI must cost more than like, a prop suit, right?
To a certain extent, like I think
it depends.
if you're talking about prop suit, like you usually have like different types where it's just like you have the hero suit, which is like that's like the main one, but then you have to have for like every suit you have to have like variations of them to be able to do different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
it could get cost wise, but like maybe that's a poor example. But I'm just trying to say that is like I feel like CGI, I feel like is a good thing add in, but like a lot of people overuse it, and I think that's why like in those live action movies and stuff like that for Disney, I just don't like them a whole lot because it's like just overdoing it. And honestly, who asked for it? Who asked for fucking CGI Lion King? Who asked for Aladdin live act? Who fucking does this shit?
Probably
Disney.
some CEO at Disney that's like, here's a quick cash grab. Fuck the audience. Which I mean, honestly, is probably more accurate to the meeting than I'd like to admit. But I mean,
Live
the thing is,
action Mulan, like, wasn't that bad? Oh no, I've heard a lot of things about that one. I think it's stupid because they charge you $30 to watch it on Disney Plus. I think that's why a lot of people hated it.
Well, they also wanted to boycott it because the actress said something against the Hong Kong protesters, and people don't like that. This was back when Hong Kong protests were the big thing. Remember those times? Oh yeah.
Aren't they still going on?
I remember that.
Probably. We got our own problems now, though.
I don't think they ever stopped, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we sure Hong Kong is still there? Has anybody checked recently?
No, without getting too deep into that rabbit hole. But like, who asks for this? Like, is it just like, oh, we can? Like, I was talking to Kobe about this a while ago. I feel like we are living in a time period where they're just trying to pump out and milk so much nostalgia.
Yeah, I feel like that's very true. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of tired of it. I want to see something new and good.
100%.
I just watched Ford versus Ferrari. That was a great movie. It was a story I hadn't seen. It was actually a traditional. Well, I won't say that because it would spoil something. But it was a really just well written story. I'm sure some of it was CGI because like I doubt they wanted to actually wreck cars for it. That's expensive. But I mean, it wasn't too much. It was just a good race. It was just a good racing movie. To be honest, I would say it was comparable to Cars.
Cars.
Which is a
Yeah, it-
masterpiece of film.
Yeah, it was honestly just a well-written, enjoyable movie. And it was a story I hadn't heard before. It wasn't a movie I had seen before. It wasn't a remake, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, I don't think
I
there's
enjoyed that.
been like a movie or a show about it. Maybe like a documentary, maybe. But and
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just dumb. Like I get the appeal of nostalgia. Like I think we can all agree. Like when they remake something like we were like kind of passionate about, it's like, oh man, that sounds kind of cool. But then it's just garbage because it just makes you want the original one more than you want the new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe that's the play. Maybe they're making these so that they make more sales on the originals. Except I think they're owned by different people usually.
Maybe.
Disney, on the other hand, they might just be trying to kick us while we're down.
Yeah, I don't get Disney's MO, man. Maybe they're just running out of good talent to make good stories.
I think they're
Or
trying
they
to
just don't
push
wanna
out
pay
too many
price for it.
stories at one time
That could be another thing.
because they're a monopoly at this
Oversaturation.
point.
They kind of are. They're fucking huge. Like, kind of scary.
Yeah, they own all kinds of things. They have rights to pretty much anything.
Yeah. Man, that's really concerning because they're really not doing very well, like entertainment wise. Like financially, I'm sure they're just
What do you
kicking
mean
ass.
entertainment wise?
They
got some good
Star Wars
shit, man.
sequel sucked. All
Okay,
these
the
remakes
sequels. Okay, that was shit. But honestly, I think we all knew that was gonna be shit because they didn't have a fucking story.
sucked. Yeah, and they switched stories 3 times throughout the 3 sequels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a character. Next movie, we're just gonna brush that aside, pretend that didn't happen.
Ooh, wait, here's a good
literally
question.
direct cut shit. Go on.
Are movies dying? Like,
I hope so.
well,
I mean,
Like-
with the current climate, yes,
well, okay,
yes, they
yeah,
are.
yeah. Now, yes, but let's say like, well, even before COVID and stuff like that, like I feel like a lot of people are enjoying like series, not necessarily television
Yeah.
series, but just like series over movies in general. Or at
I'm
least
kinda-
personally, I guess I am. I'd say I'm biased to that. I think movies are dying because I feel like if you get a good story that needs a lot of explanation or discussion or like character development, it's always going to be better than in a series than a 2-hour movie.
Well, especially like with a series, after each episode, people like that cliffhanger that they can come back to like the next
Yeah.
episode.
Honestly, I do kind of hope that the movie scene dies off a bit. So I feel like it's just oversaturated now. Everybody and their dog is trying to make a movie, and they can't come up with anything original. So we just get remake after remake after remake. I think if we can cull that off a little bit, the people making movies will be like the artists who want to make an artistic cinematic movie, as opposed to just like another Jurassic Park or another Transformers or another.
Jurassic movies were bad. See,
You know,
and the
I've seen
thing-
them all.
Out this year, Fast and Furious 30.
You know what? You shut up.
They're going to the
Don't
moon.
give any ideas.
They
Yeah.
I
are,
enjoyed the
aren't
Fast
they?
and Furious movies
Oh,
though.
fuck off! You're you're the reason why. You're the fucking reason. You piece of shit.
It's like the
I'm gonna be
scalper.
honest.
You can't give them money. You're encouraging them.
The only ones I remember are the first one and the one.
I hope he didn't pay for the others.
You know he did.
I
He's
know.
like, oh, Fast and the
The only
Furious.
one-
I remember
the only
the
one
first
that,
one and the second one. He's on fucking 18 now.
$20
The only
a
one that I actually paid to see was the 7th one in the theater.
I mean, that's fair.
I haven't seen any after the one with the really big
The Rock.
no, yeah, he was in it. They were like chasing a plane on a runway at the end, and the runway went like around the Earth. That was the
Around
last
the
one.
Earth.
Oh, I remember that. I think that's the
Yeah,
sixth
yeah.
one.
It was like a 40-minute runway scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Remember
I
that.
don't know. What are your thoughts on movies, Kobe? You were briefly in the movie industry, sort of,
Yeah.
kind of.
I worked at a movie theater.
Oh.
I mean, it's been a constant topic over the past 5 years or so that the movie industry might be dying. A bunch of things are just getting re-released or remade, and I mean, on the topic of what ifs, because that has been I think a theme this episode
What
what if our standards are too high?
I have
What if
actually
they
had
are
this
putting out
conversation.
good content, but our standards are so high that we just don't want to accept it?
Well, that's the thing. I've spoiled myself on the good content, like Ford and that one.
Yes.
Knives Out. I feel like that was a very artistic, well written. Just it's a piece of art. It's a great movie. There's another one I saw recently that I thought was just a all around. Oh yeah, Jojo Rabbit. Did you guys see that?
No, I want
No,
to.
I
Though.
heard it was really good though.
It's just great. It's a story I haven't heard before. It's comedic but has a great message. It's just a well written movie. Baby Driver was another one, but I've
Baby
spoiled
Driver was a
myself.
good one.
Baby Driver was so good.
See,
Yeah.
there's good movies. Like I'm not saying all movies are bad. Like I think, you know, harmonizing Adam, it's definitely oversaturation.
Mhm.
Kobe, you could be right. Standards for most people, I think like they have high standards. Like for me, like I'll watch a movie and I'll think it's good, but then Maddie's like, I didn't like it. But it also comes down to taste though too. Or it's like
Yeah.
it depends the type of movie that you're watching and or the genre. I don't know if those are the same thing or two different things, but like it's a lot. It's a lot that gets packed into a movie. And the hard thing is you're criticizing a movie that's like 2.5 hours long or less.
Yeah, movies are long.
Which is so hard to do. You know what I mean? Like it's easy just to say like, oh, that movie was shit. Like, why was it shit? Like, ooh, that's a lot. But I think with series, I think the future is series, which I both love and hate.
I think it'll just briefly be the future, but face the same problem and then just peter off for movies later on.
Yeah.
I think people will flock to the higher quality content, which right now looks like it's going to be series. Or actually, I think high quality series content has been over this past decade, but it might be reaching its end too. Like Breaking Bad is over. Game of Thrones was the next big one, I think, and it's over.
Okay, what do you mean by big though, real quick? Like just like over popularity?
Yeah, like when a Breaking Bad episode would come out, Breaking Bad fans would gather at each other's houses, sit down and watch it together. It was like a social event.
Yeah.
Mandalorian is that right now, right? Everybody's sitting down and watching Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not
Yeah,
going to each other's houses, but everybody's getting on Twitter right afterwards and talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, but is that really like a lot of people doing it? Because I mean, like I like it, and me and Kobe like it. I don't know about Foosh and Adam, but like we like it, and we know people who like it. So then we talk about it right away. People, I don't know actually how many people are sitting down and watching it though.
I am definitely biased because like it's an internet culture thing and not like a society thing. That's definitely true. Like my parents, they're now watching it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty good point. I might be very biased on that just because of the culture I interact with.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it's big, but like, there's also a lot of shows that are big that I didn't even realize too. Like, I think that's the thing with like, especially streaming content, like series content. I feel like won't reach the height of like those big TV shows because I feel like they're more specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to like it's literally like word of mouth that they kind of get out, or like super over advertising.
Also true, yeah.
But I don't know. That's a lot to unpack that episode. Man, we took some turns.
We started with SCP and now we're on Mandalorian. Who yeah. There you go.
There you go.
This is
That
the
was
way.
a smooth segue, though.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't big jumps to each topic. Kind of led into the other.
Well, shit, guys, that's another week down. Whoever's watching, thanks for watching. You guys got any closing remarks? Anything to tell the world? Keep dark secrets? Nothing?
the SCP Foundation may or may not be out there. All right. If you want to know if it's real, I suggest you Google a picture of the Shy Guy's face, SCP dash something. And if we don't hear back from you next week, then the SCP Foundation is real.
All right. Well, good
All right.
deal. All right, guys. Well, check us next week. Same time, same place. We'll be here. So take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.